So where do mood media typically start off then, with a client in retail? What's the starting point?
They quite often, they're in retail. If you take the fashion sector, for example, we're finding it's very much about flagships. They want their big new launch, and they want something a bit of a wow factor, really. What we try to lead them down the path of is, okay, what is your content strategy? That's what we look at. What are your objectives? And sometimes they think they know what they are, but actually with that's kind of our role. We see it as hone down, what are their objectives, what do you want to achieve? Then we look at the content, we look at the audio, the scent, and just how we're going to deliver those objectives. I think it's something we look at and talk about is ROO, return on objective. You know, that's what we look at trying to achieve. So yeah, that's where we'll start, work up a creative brief, we'll do some content, we'll put an audio demo together, a scent, and just try and bring that. Quite difficult sometimes when you're in a head office and not in a retail environment at all, but you know, that's where we'll start, and then see if that's meeting the objectives, look at how we can sort of extrapolate that out into a retail environment.
Right. Well, it must be very similar for some of the big, you do lots of flagship installs, whether it be retail or big stadiums or architect-led stuff, but it must be very similar for your channel.
It is, and one thing that we're beginning to be more interested in and seeing a need is not just sound and smell, but making the display respond to you. So I don't mean respond by pressing buttons or kiosk click, I mean subtly respond. I mean, if it's all about getting eyeballs to pay attention to the message. So we've been experimenting with ways that as you walk by a display, just something happens. It ripples, or it just subtly changes, and to attract the eyeballs to the message. So there's ways of communicating, as you say, through sound, through smell, but also through responsiveness in subtle and creative ways that are, I think, going to become very, very important in our industry. And they're going to, back to one of the earlier questions, they're going to create really interesting challenges in content development, because how do you do that? And I think certain things like Microsoft Connect and so on are just changing the whole rules about how systems